I won't be able to see anything.
I can't either. I don't even know if we can hear though. So I'm trying to listen to now. Is this able to hear? Yeah. Yeah, that one's okay. I'm trying to make sure all the mics are on correctly.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Let's see. I had my questions listed somewhere.
I think they were on that.
Yep, I think so. Okay. I don't know. So one of the first questions. These are questions that kind of generated from the Kickstarter. They have a Q&A.
Oh, okay.
And I took some of their questions that were listed on there that they asked to do updates for. So
right.
Some of this is going to be cut for that. But one of the first questions that they ask on the Kickstarter campaign is, what's something new you plan to share this month? Which this month is...
How much longer do we have?
We have 22 days, 23, 22 days. Yeah. I don't know if there's much else we're going to be sharing.
Well, I think the main thing that we do need to get to, and I'm not sure when we're wanting to do it, but we have to show off the live drawing of a variant cover, because we talked about doing that.
Yeah.
So that would probably be something big that we're showing off this month.
Yeah, we could do that. That's the variant cover this month. And then, I mean, is there, aside from just the Kickstarter stuff for Nullified, is there anything that I don't think we have planned to show off anything else this month. And this month, I guess, at this point, because we're near the end of it, let's just count it as April.
Yeah, because, what's today?
Yeah, like the 28th,
30th.
29th? No, it's the 30th, right? So there's literally one day left. So there's not going to be anything this month specifically as much as it's going to be about April. So is there anything, I guess, that we're going to share in April that we plan to share, that we know we're going to share?
I think we started off extremely strong, showing and doing everything that we could.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, the main thing for April is going to definitely be the variant cover. I'd love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is there anything that you're thinking?
So aside from the variant cover, that's terrible. Let's not show that. Aside from the variant cover, I don't know. Let's see. We have. At some point, if we end up doing it in April, maybe do some art for the Nullified theme card, since that's something that people are getting. And maybe show that and the variant cover. So those would be the two things that I would say that we plan to show off.
Yeah, so we're working on the cover art because amazing people have supported us enough to get to that stretch goal.
Yeah,
we're still looking at the archive. That would be the next one.
Right. Which, did you share part of that, or is that for the character concept book?
What are you talking about?
No, the archive is where you're going to have your panels with notes on the side, right?
Well, the archive is going to be deeper, so I'm actually I want to get to the archive a lot, because what it's going to have is world map that somebody actually drew for us. I don't know if I sent it to you or not.
I think you showed me like a first version.
Right. So the archive is going to have world map. It'll have the character and monsters, but more of like a codex is kind of what I'm thinking about it. If you play some like classic Final Fantasy stuff, it shows your main characters first, and then you get to the back of the book and it shows some of the I guess stat blocks or whatever you want to. Some more information on
what's going on,
the monsters, and even some of the cities, especially the ones we'll be getting to in the second book.
Yeah, like you said, like the codex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's I know that we're already doing the character and monster concept, but that'll be a little mini book about specifically the ones we're seeing in Nullified issue 1. Whereas the archive will be a growing thing, I would imagine, starting off with the maps that we have now. And some of the characters we have now, but as we make more monsters and more people and stuff like that, we can add to that archive.
But the archive But so this archive is going to focus more about issue 1.
It'll have a lot of issue 1, but it will actually have some stuff about issue 2,
Ooh.
like the Citadel, which is the main hub.
I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited. I think you showed me like a brief description, like picture of what you're thinking.
Yes.
But I'm really excited to see you explore that.
Yes,
a lot
the
more.
Citadel is so interesting, and it's kind of evolving. It's not a set thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
The most set thing would actually be out of my 4 main factions that I'm kind of building here. The Citadel, it's in development, but it's hard because it's going to have the most magic aspects to it.
Yeah.
But I think the most defined place that we have will be in the side story Ghost and where she's from. And we're actually already working on the poster for it, which I think is really cool. It's like a welcome to type poster type thing for it. And that place is called Stan. I think I showed you.
Yeah. Actually, that was the one that I really liked. I thought that was super cool.
Now that place I have defined quite a bit, and I'm extremely excited about the location and the types of people that will be involved in that. So it's.
But Ghost is the graphic novel that you're wanting to work on.
Ghost is, yes. It's not going to be issue 2. Ghost will be right now a 90-page graphic novel because, as I have said before, I believe live. Nullified issue 1 through will be the main line of the series. It's going to be Marcus's journey to getting to answers and all this type of stuff like that. So that's our main line. But as these issues are developing and as we get more time and resources and stuff, we're going to come up with side stories from some more of these important characters.
Right.
The very first one being Ghost, and it's going to be a graphic novel as long as we can actually achieve printing and stuff like that, because it's going to be a little bit of a different situation with printing a graphic novel.
Yeah.
I can't do those. But yes, so Stan is developed. So we'll actually have some stuff in the archive about that location. It'll be all set in this desert, this grand desert continent. And humans have built their civilization along Grand Canyons.
Oh.
It basically carved it out. And it's very much, I guess, capitalism. Merchants run the show.
Like a bazaar, like a big bazaar.
Yeah, kind of. It's got a lot of that type of thing. But whoever holds the most money, the most resources, that's who's in charge. I like to think of it as a lot of piracy, actually. So thinking about, what would be ships sailing across the sand, basically, and raiding. And so pirates would be the merchants of this location. So I've really nailed, I think, the aesthetic of Ainstan way more than our other locations. We have the Citadel, which it's got to look awesome.
It does got to be really.
It's got to be super cool because that's where the Nullified come from. That's their home.
Yeah, which not to mention, you got characters that are going to show up.
Yeah, a lot of them.
So there's got to be a lot of like cool visual and just good story building out of the city.
Yeah, absolutely. While I'm working on issue 2 now that this is out here a little bit more, I'm coming up with what 3 is going to look like in 4, 5, and 6 because this stuff is going to start getting quicker, right?
Yeah.
We pushed the first book and it's made its
It's
funding.
Yeah.
So that means like, all right, cool, we have to jump on the next stuff. Mm-hmm. So I've actually got a game plan, and I'm starting a Nullified Bible or whatever you want to call it, basically of where the main line will get to.
You got your canon.
Pretty much.
Your canon book.
Now stuff is going to fill in and take out and all that type of stuff like that. But yeah, the archive I'm extremely excited for, so hopefully we can get to that one. If we can't get to that one this one, I do think that we should put it with some other projects that we have too. I think it'd be cool. Personally, I'd love to see a codex.
Yeah, I think so too. And not to mention, if we don't get to the Dimitri, which that one is a really far out one because that also includes a lot of work. So getting there would be a crazy one. But I think, you try to do graphic novels on side, like where characters get their side story. I think Dimitri at some point would deserve his own.
Absolutely. Dimitri is going to be, I've already had the thought of making his story the prelude to where we find him. If it gets back this time, it just means it's coming quicker.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I'm imagining with this one.
Yeah.
That's a story that will be told, but it's just kind of about when it gets told.
Yeah, I would agree because that's pretty important stuff.
I would imagine so, especially with the things that have not been discussed and will not be discussed.
Yeah, so. Which you have Dimitri's stuff right here. I mean, you got the monolith.
Yep.
And Dimitri.
And his followers right down there.
Yep.
Oh, that's him, and that's our boy Marcus right there.
Yeah. So yeah, we got quite a bit of that's going to be shown off this month, I would say. And then I guess we did this earlier for some sound bits, but just to kind of maybe go back over it. Mainly because somebody had to take a B-roll for me. So we'll start with you on this. So how did you feel when you hit the launch button?
Yeah.
I mean, no, like really describe to like how you actually like what was your feeling going into that day? Because you told me like multiple times.
Yeah, no, I mean like we met up before because we had discussed some stuff of like doing a live stream before getting to the actual live stream, which didn't work out, but that entire day and the weeks leading up to it, it was like the most stressful I've ever been. Absolutely. I mean, we're talking like I'm barely able to get out of bed, speak types of like, just nervous about that whole situation. Yeah, like I said, we spent most of the day together there just getting prepared, which is so funny because when we got to here, this great place that we're set up right now, the Play Portal, everybody that's listening, we love these people. This is pretty much our safe haven at this moment throughout this whole thing, right? So we got here, and the plan was to launch it at 5:00, but our good buddy Ryan over here, he's having some technical difficulties, and I think that 30 minutes?
It was a while.
I think it was almost dead on 5:30 when we clicked the button finally. So 30 minutes late to it. I'll say this. Watching, it kind of fall apart a little bit gave me a weird sense of calmness,
Yeah, I know you were like really thrilled that I was struggling and like not to mention you were in a place finally where we could just kind of chill and have some fun. I mean, because at that point there was nothing else for you to do.
No, yeah. It's
kind of like it is what it is.
It is.
He hits a button eventually. He goes live eventually, and we just kind of deal with whatever happens.
Yeah, and I had my own technical difficulties because I was going to stream the entire time that we were there.
Yeah,
but that didn't seem to work.
We did have issues with that.
It was after hitting that launch and seeing like the people here, and then close friends and family support us, and we get into those numbers so quickly.
Oh yeah, that was insane.
We're talking about just euphoric type feeling. Like it felt emotional levels of awesome, Yeah. The amount of support that we've had throughout this entire process has just been really heartwarming, I would say. So we have a great system that seems to care about the projects that we're doing and the stuff we're trying to do too.
I think this is going to help out a lot with the community. I really do. I want to
absolutely.
I would say one of the things that I felt before we hit launch, obviously it being our first Kickstarter, it was nerve-wracking because there's so much like pre-launch stuff that you need to do before you go live on Kickstarter, and it's really scary. Doing it because like it was the first time we ever went live on Kickstarter, and it's like, how is it going to look? Like, what do we need to have set up? Like, for instance, there's one thing that we don't have set up, and I'm really upset about it, and that's the pictures of the reward tiers.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get those set up, and then building a trailer for the comic book. Was hard, which I've talked about that a few times, and it's like, how do you build a trailer for a comic book when you have 27 pages,
right?
And it's like, what can you show and what can't you show, and build an interesting trailer, without divulging too much stuff.
What's really cool about this whole process is the fact that I know you came in at the tail end of the situation, but you're kind of feeling the way that I'm feeling about this. Like, it feels like it's the Wild West.
Yeah.
With I don't really know what we're supposed to do. We're looking at other things for reference. Maybe that's going to work for us. Maybe it's not. The hardest thing to feel was the fact that we have no prior projects on the line. This is the first time we've started doing videos, like really pushing Kingpin in the studio.
Yeah.
Before it was just, well, we have to make a product first. So we were just in the dark for, when did we try to start up Kingpin? Was it 2015? 17? Somewhere on there?
I don't know if we were trying to start Kingpin up in 2015. We were definitely trying to make games in 2015.
I want to say.
But definitely, I would say, in my mind, when I think back to it, I always think about 2020 being the year.
Really?
Yeah, only because it was when I felt like we were able to be serious.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the year me and you both invested in a workhorse of a computer.
That wasn't 2020.
Yes,
that was 2019.
Well, no.
That was the end of 2019. I want to say, wasn't it? Or was it the beginning of 2020?
I think it was like in that time frame.
Yeah, right.
We might have ordered it in 2019 and built it in 2020.
That makes sense.
But there was a lot of computer shortages because of the
right. I just didn't
virus and everything.
I don't think that we hit. The COVID. I don't think we hit that yet. Whenever we were making that, could be mistaken.
No, it was. Well, they didn't go wild into it around here until mid 2020, I think. So it was still around that. We were doing it at the beginning, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
But anyways, I would agree with that. Well, before that,
because it's also, I think, when you started showing off some early drawings of Marcus too.
So I think I was drawing Marcus sooner than that. But
you may have. I don't know if you had given him a name though.
No, I don't think so. But I think he began really in 2015. If I'm thinking about it,
really?
He begins there, but not just the infant version of it. Of I think it'd be really cool to make a mage type character that also is very martial.
Right. I think we talked about that too at one point about doing that.
Yeah. We were kind of thinking about D&D and stuff like that. We were playing Neverwinter and making characters like this, and you're a huge fan of magic systems and stuff like that. And I've always been on the tail end of that. I like more fast characters and stuff like that. So I started thinking about a character that uses both pretty much. And then so I think that idea came from 15, and then working flooring with my dad at the Hilton over here. Late hours, early mornings, and so to kind of keep myself in the game, I guess, of not just work, sleep, maybe eat sometime in between. I started bringing the sketchbook and I started drawing out some panels and some ideas, and Marcus was at the forefront of those ideas. So that was probably 2018. Then I began school at Paducah School of Art and Design.
Yeah.
And I did some more ideas with him, especially for a final. I was like, man, I think it'd be cool to start making a comic thing. But if I actually have that file and I look back at it and it's not that great. But then it could have been 2020 because we had AC3. So whenever, maybe 21. Whenever we didn't have to have the masks.
Oh.
Whenever AC3 was. That's where the comics started to come into play.
Mm-hmm. We stop that recording and hang on my phone for just a second.
Yeah.
While I switch around, I'm going to try to pull up my questions over here so I don't have to deal with trying to make that jump back and forth. Let me set that up real quick.
We got some storms rolling in, so I don't know how long we'll be able to do this because I have to take you home, correct?
Yeah, we're not advanced. Let's see.
It's unfortunate that the setup took so long.
Well, we got a lot of B-roll.
That's good, for sure. So we got some good stuff to,
Which means we didn't have too much going on today.
Right, yeah. I think for Huron, it's kind of a little bit like this, but hopefully no storms where you have a little bit more time to hang out, talk, and stuff like that.
I would agree. Okay, let's see. That probably is dead, but if it is, it's not a big deal. Oh, come on now. Alright, I'm just gonna let you set that back up over there.
Okay.
I don't know what it's gonna look like. Yeah, you might want to do that.
I think that this panel's looking pretty cool. I did scoot that down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think that looks a lot better.
My only issue again is I have to figure out the angle because right now it looks like they're both on the same plane, and so he's like shooting across his side. That's my only issue with it.
Right. It's almost like it's hard because you don't want to come up too much, but if you could have the basilisk like penetrate this panel and this panel down here and kind of come across these. Like
Maybe
he's just this big monster that's taking up the like half of the page. Not like literally come up too high. Like you just want to like kind of graze these panels here, in my opinion. Like his head may come down and swoop down this far.
Maybe, yeah.
You know?
Or I could put Marcus at the. You're seeing the back of Marcus as he's blasting, and then it would be on the same.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, but I do like the idea of maybe he's on the inside of him, of like maybe the basilisk. He's closed the distance, so the basilisk is actually in this panel, like.
Yeah, like wrapped around him and then coming through this panel.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I think so. I think that's.
But still try to make it like where it's like two different panels, but it's not one panel. So it's almost like you're breaking the entire plane by like.
Yeah, which we've actually explored with doing in the first book.
Yeah.
You see the basilisk before you actually see him. That's a little cool Easter egg that I have. The page before he's actually released, or you see it. Yeah. Look for it.
I would say too, going back, I don't know if I ever finished this, then we got off track. When we hit the launch button and we're talking about going back and like how we didn't know the setup. I remember one of the things we needed to do for promotional stuff was you needed a QR code for like the longest time. You just kept asking for it.
Yeah.
And I was terrified to hit the launch or the submit button because I didn't know what that entailed. Like, when you hit submit, is it like locked down? Like, you can't change nothing. Like, you can't edit nothing. Like, if I do this wrong, is it going to be like set up wrong? Another big thing was shipping. So, like, what are we going to charge for shipping? Are we going to do international shipping? And I decided let's just not even do international.
Right.
I was like, let's just focus. But then we still had to do the research to figure out. Well, I had to do the research to figure out how much it was going to cost to ship these items across, and that's still like crazy. Like there was a lot that goes into the setup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, without that QR code, it kind of set us back a little bit. I think that whenever we get to these next ones that we're doing, we really need to get all this stuff prepped a month in advance where people can join up a little bit sooner than I think 2 weeks is what we had. So giving some more people time to look at it before launch, and hopefully some people have been watching us and want to follow the rest of what Nullified has to offer once you get the books. Mm-hmm. You like the stuff enough to be like, okay, let's tune in for the next ones and stuff like that. But yeah, releasing the pre-launch sooner might help out a little bit.
Yeah. They just don't tell you in Kickstarter like what you're not allowed to change afterwards. They say some, but like I didn't know we couldn't add images after it was over. So like it was locked. It was done.
Right.
I couldn't like there was other things that I just didn't know. Another thing that we probably should have done better, and this is where it was nervous, is like I didn't know what rewards we were really gonna stick with, and we ended up changing them. I think
so. That was after talking with the folks at the Play Portal. We had a better idea of some of the rewards that we're like to have seen. And again, for the next go around, maybe we can have those types of Q&As, or polls to see like, What would people be interested in seeing for this next book?
I also think that we should have done, like the stuff I've been doing lately, and this is just inexperience on my part. Um, is we should have done more of promotional like things for the characters, like little drop hints, like who is Dimitri, who is Astrid, who is Marcus. Let's explore. Let's have those Q&As. Let's talk about them, as well as just
this is page 4
in general, like the overall. What are we going to put in the Kickstarter?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was hard.
I think for the first go with having pretty limited information, and again, I mean, not a whole super lot of people tuning into what we got to offer yet. We did a pretty great job, and like I said, a lot of that is
local support.
We love this community that supported us, and we're doing whatever we can to give back to that. Yeah. When we have the capability to do it more, we will do more. I think even here we had talked about, maybe doing some videos for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, to help with marketing and stuff.
Exactly. Some of the stuff that we've learned from this, we're going to carry over to helping the portal and other places.
Yep. Helping other people get their stuff out there. So, I mean, that's one of the things about the Kickstarter. We could have done better. And then, on top of that, the next one being probably the card.
Yeah, game. I would imagine the card game.
That one's gonna be. We're gonna be like on it, and it's one of those.
That's gonna be tough
because we're gonna have to have all the promote. It is gonna be tough.
The goal's got to be higher.
I'll say this before we get to the next question. Again, one of the issues that I have with the Kickstarter stuff is that there's that barrier to entry. You have to sign up before you can back a project.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people when we do those events where we're at the coffee shop where they didn't want to sign up.
Instead they just donated some cash.
But you had early edition, so it's like, here you go.
Yeah.
And the card game, it's like, how are we going to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
an early edition or something.
Right. Because I can't give you something if I can't print it. If I print it,
exactly.
Is it going to be done?
Yeah, because I think the printing of the types of cards that we're trying to do
is not something that we have available.
Exactly.
So it's going to
do an outside source for that, which means that the funding's going to go
towards be on that. Yep.
The printing cost and shipping cost.
Yep.
So having some, I guess technically we could do like this, and I could do some.
I thought about that.
Runs.
I thought about that
without the, all the exclusive.
But you can only do so many of those. So, I mean, you still struggle in that aspect of like, what are we going to do? So those are the things that you have to think of. But.
Yeah, how to kind of, because with this comic, we had the luxury of it was finished and printed.
Yeah, you had already done all that.
Like all the
You'd even stuff. Gave out a few early editions of it before we ever decided to go Kickstarter route.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be interesting with the card game.
Be very.
I know that people are excited about it, though.
They are excited, and we're doing that event at Heartland Gaming Convention.
We still have to get.
I still gotta make posts
to Princeton.
Yes, yeah, we gotta go to Princeton.
Unfortunately, with the storms this weekend, we couldn't make it there.
Yeah, I would like to do that sometime soon. I'd like to do it while we're still going on with the Kickstarter, just because of Nullified and everything.
Absolutely. We still have the whole next month to be able to do it, though. Luckily, we have
most of it.
3 weeks, because I have to head out to Indianapolis.
Yeah, to help out with the Dice Alliance.
With Dice Alliance, which also we love Dice Alliance around here.
Yes,
peoples.
Awesome stuff. Dice Alliance is doing. So let's go into the next one. How did you know it was time to finally show your comic book? What made you decide?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure we said that, but maybe we had said that in the pre.
Yeah, I think we did it in the pre one.
What made me want to do this?
Yeah, like when did you know it was like ready? Like when did you say, let's do Kickstarter? Let's go for it.
For the Kickstarter, okay. Well, I had said before that we had done and by we I mean mainly me. This was where it was 100% me trying to do all this type of stuff. I had given out about 100 books locally.
Yeah.
To just see if people even were interested in the book, and 100 people bought the book. So I was that kind of gave me some emboldenment there, and then again, more importantly than any of that, the fact that you were running it. I'd said this like I can work for days. I'm a workhorse when it comes to this type of art stuff. This is where I'm comfortable, and I'm comfortable at conventions and talking to people and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But when it comes to online stuff, it's just not me. I can't force myself to put my work out there or market myself in any which way. And the fact that you were doing that was reason enough.
Yeah.
But I got to the back end of the year, and I got to work with some incredible people, with some other projects and stuff like that, and had a great time doing those. But in the back of my mind, I was just like, I want to see how far I could take Nullified. That's where I began with all this type of stuff. And I'm fairly fresh to this, but to me, the story of not just Nullified, but the story of making Nullified is so cool.
Yeah.
The fact that one person could do this type of stuff that had no prior information and just learning, the whole learning process.
Doing a lot in it too. Yeah.
Doing a lot. We made a pretty good book. I made a pretty.
You
good
made
book.
a pretty good book. I don't say we.
I keep saying we. It feels more comfortable.
I think you're saying we just because we're doing it in a King Panda studio.
But I made a pretty cool book. I gotta admit, it's not the best. It's not the worst. But the fact that I was able to make a book, I think, is a very good story.
Yeah.
Because then we get to take this to people that are struggling to make their projects, saying I don't have the time or this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to challenge those folks to make their stories. And the fact that we can say, well, we did this. So it's not impossible to do.
You're right.
I think that means so much to me. It's not the fact I didn't want to work with anybody on this project, but the fact that I could sit here and say, all this came from one person, which means that anybody else can do this too, because I'm a nobody in this realm. I had no information. It's just I was passionate enough about the project and the work to challenge myself to make this type of project. And I was given the challenge too, which always helps me.
Yeah.
What I would recommend to anybody that was stuck in my situation right now is the fact of take on the challenge. Whether you're initiating it yourself or you're telling somebody about it, challenge yourself to do something. And you're going to learn so much more than just waiting for somebody to tell you to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So that type of challenge and the fact that I can take my information that I have from this book and pass it to other people that are stuck, that's why I wanted to do this and to push it online to Kickstarter and keep going.
Yeah, not to mention, during the convention, we met several people who I feel like you would, if they would take up the challenge, take up that, they would probably have something cool.
Oh, yeah. We've seen some awesome
really cool
already. We're only a few conventions into King Panda's whole mission statement with this. For the longest time, it's just developing stuff.
Yeah.
But we've really shifted after this experience. I think me and you have both shifted to the fact of the original idea was the fact that there was nothing to do around here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people got stuck because of that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So now we've shifted the philosophy of King Panda more towards the fact of giving people that opportunity to make their stuff. The more projects that me and you accomplish, the more we get to share with other people. So
I would say so for sure. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to turn that up. It's not what I'm trying to go to. We just want to go to here. And I should be able to find done. Click here. Alright, now I should be able to hopefully get both of these.
Keep having to check my phone to make sure the stuff's not rolling in yet.
No, we looked at it before I came back in.
Cool.
That's why she decided to roll out.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, she was like, oh, well, if it's not going to be like that, and he's cool with it, then I'm just going to head out.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, that's fine.
As long as I have enough time to get back.
You should.
So, we're good to go.
If not, you can just do it.
Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, I keep going to the wrong thing.
The more I look at this panel, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of liking this idea.
I told you, I think it would look really cool.
I mean, come on.
Obviously, like you said, you don't want to break it all the time, but like this is just such a cool panel that the scene when I seen you drawing this, I was like, dude, just the stuff I've seen before and like having the monster just like man, like
I think it's looking pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So then, it's going to have to be Astrid's turn to do something cool too.
Yes.
She already did something pretty cool with the whole strike that we have in page 2. But yeah, we're going to have to give her something. Huh?
That's such a cool thing.
This?
No, just having like in the book and like we can put it and you get it's so cool.
From here on, we're going to do all the penciling traditional so that we could show that type of process off. Before the very first book, a lot of people ask this question. I did it all digitally, which is okay, I think. I mean, use the tools that you got. But once you get it a little bit more physical, people get to see the experience of it.
It gets people excited.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can make content out of that for other people later on.
Say you want to print off the originals, and then eventually you have the originals. Say we make Nullified in the Dream Realm where it's like popped off. There will be original pages for somebody that, like a collector. To
Not to mention, you can frame those and put them up on the wall. Like if we ever have our own building and everything,
one day we have our own building.
You can literally have like a wall with just the certain pages.
Yep.
So let's see. Here's a good one. Mainly for you. I guess sometimes for me, but mainly for you. What kind of feedback is most helpful to receive when you're sharing your creative work?
Yeah, I'm actually a huge fan of critiques, especially the helpful ones. Like if there's like, I'd say my least favorite is, that's okay, and move on.
Me?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll just send you something and be like, cool.
I struggle with telling you anything because it's like you're asking me and I'm like, you've seen my art.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know how I can tell you how to do anything better and give you any constructive criticism outside of
cool. Yeah.
Now granted, I because of you, I liked reading anyways, but because of you, I specifically, when I read comics or manga now, I've paid more attention to the art of the aesthetic, the actual comic book layouts, the paneling, because now when you ask me stuff about the comic book, I want to at least be like what we're talking about here, like, well, what I think would be really cool. That way I can at least be like, when you're like, hey, how does this look? I can say something.
Like I said, I personally like when people say, hey, this is cool, but maybe think about this angle, or that hand is a little bit weird. Because here's the thing. Again, fresh to this whole thing, especially with sequential pages, you've known my art journey for my entire life, and most of it had just been character art, and that's about it. And then we did some 3D modeling, but most of it was just, I like these characters, and I just draw a little still of them. So this whole telling a story in 2D is completely fresh. So sometimes you get stuff wrong, and you just want some advice on how to make it cooler and better. Jordan, our good buddy, who's doing Ogiri.
Yes.
I talked to him.
Really good too.
Yeah, for real.
Whoever's doing the landscape with them, like the backgrounds, because it looks really good. But anyway, sorry.
But I was working on page 5 of the first issue, and it's the one where the stuff is falling to the earth after the explosion. And I started to do those characters and those panels a little bit more realistic. I can't do realism though. I could learn, but it would take too much time, and I would not be professional at it.
Yeah.
I have a very specific art style direction that I can start leaning towards that's cool. So he told me, he's like, hey, maybe consider what you're doing here. This is what I really liked, and this is something that I don't know. You could do it if you're really feeling like doing it, but this over here is already working.
Right.
So with that in mind, I was like, oh, okay, that's actually awesome for me to know. It means that I'm on to something here. So that type of critique is extremely useful for me in these types of comics. I rely on Les Garner, Jordan,
some of the other guys,
Justin Hunt, who challenged me to make the book in the first place. I take their critiques to heart. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. So this is stuff that I can learn.
Not to mention something that just got brought up. Was it last week? Is it Mark?
Yeah,
Mark brought it up.
Yes, I drew a dwarven beard, and is like, that doesn't look like a beard. That's a tree bark.
Well, not only that, but didn't he bring up the power situation?
Yes, yeah, power.
I thought that was situation. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yep,
I think that 100% is something that needs to be addressed.
To me, I'm never like, oh no, they're talking bad about my art. I'm already looking at it as ways to improve. As I'm doing this page, I'm like, okay, what am I going to improve for the next one?
Right.
I'm not sitting here settling with anything, and I never will. So
but it's also not anybody just saying that sucks.
Yeah.
It's people saying that's cool. I think if you had shown it in a different perspective, maybe I would have felt. Even when I brought it up, the situation, I didn't know who did that blast.
Yeah.
And you was like,
yeah,
I didn't
I'll
see
tell
that.
You this, even that sucks. I take is helpful. Like, okay, thank you, cool. So I actually know that this isn't working. So I'm even cool with that. Just looks bad.
Well, just like anything in those situations, I think you get in those situations where you get those blinders on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you get that tunnel vision, and you know what's going on.
Right.
But somebody who's reading it is
going to be huge. That's why we're going back and doing some more lettering.
Yeah.
Because I know the story, and I've talked to people about the story, which is an issue. Because now I don't know if by what I've said in person is coming across in these pages.
Right.
So this is the whole scary part for Kickstarter is like, what is this even about?
I mean, that's true too. I mean, you got, what's the limit on a comic book?
I mean, I guess the maximum will be like graphic novel. Usually it's just as long as you can go in 4s. The minimum usually is 24 pages. I went up to 32, I think, in this one.
Right.
But then eventually you start to lend into like a graphic novel. It's just gotten too big.
So, like, essentially you're at the point where, let's just say, around 30 is like, you don't even really want to get, that's really high.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Like, you have to somehow convey this entire story, this one little piece of the story that you're wanting to tell in 30 pages. And I imagine, very challenging to say,
for sure.
How can I show the action, display the dialogue without writing an entire novel?
Exactly. I actually got some really cool advice on this from Justin Hunt, who's another extremely, I'm telling you, talented artist. I think that he's doing Ninja Witch right now, and it's just popping off. But he was telling me on the phone, he's like, what he likes to do is whenever he does pages, is he has the idea of the page, writes the script, puts it down before the lettering, and passes it to somebody, and doesn't tell them anything about it, but just asks, what do you think is happening in this page? And if it lines up with what he's had in that script, then it's working. And if it doesn't, then it's like, okay, there's some stuff to change.
Sorry, I just looked it over here for a second. You said he literally like draws.
Yeah, he'll do this the sketch of it and all that type of stuff, and then he'll pass it to somebody like, okay, can you tell me what you're thinking is happening in in these panels here? And if it lines up without the dialogue, then he knows that it's a functional page, and then he puts the lettering in there.
That's pretty good.
Before telling any of the story, just showing the story and seeing if it works that way.
Yeah. So, how, and you may have already answered this, but how has putting your project into the world change things for you?
Time, I guess, is now the big factor. Because this is out in the world and people have interest in it, that means they want to see the next one. Actually, last year I was getting a bunch of that, and I just did not have the time to, work on issue 2. A lot of the time was going towards like actually bringing it to locations and then figuring that system out, and then the other commissions that I got to work on that truthfully leveled me up. Like I worked on a whole different book last year, which I love. It looks awesome.
Was that the agent one?
Yes. The super villain support services.
I thought those looked really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, but all that kind of took up the year, so I wasn't able to work on this project. But what I was getting from the people that had read it is like, okay, where's this next one? Yeah. Because, the issue 1 doesn't wrap up with a clean beginning and end, Yeah. So speed, time is the new thing that I'm getting with the releasing of this book. Now that it's out there for the world to enjoy, hopefully it's time to get the other projects out there too.
Let's see. So, okay, that one is not a question that we can answer. It says, care to share a photo or video of something that you're working on? Well, actually, care to show us something that you're doing right now? So I don't know how this is going to show up, but this is page 4 of issue 2.
Yep.
And we'll put it over here for this one.
One of the awesome things that we've done for the Kickstarter, this is kind of like a little Easter egg, I suppose, is every page, almost every page, we've been working on this during the Kickstarter. And a lot of this has been drawn live. So we have the footage of it all being drawn live.
Unfortunately, it's not etc. But yes.
Oh, we didn't get etceteras?
I couldn't, so I messed up and didn't.
Well, this is etceteras anyways.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you didn't really draw a whole lot. We had a lot of people.
We had a lot of people talk to us, so I didn't have a lot of time to draw.
Yep, I remember.
And I did do 2 pages at the house.
Still recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Still good. Most of it's probably just going to be this hand.
That's fine.
But it's still recording.
Yeah, no, I remember now.
So that's kind of a cool thing about this.
The only one I didn't have, I think, so far was 3.
2 and 3, because I worked on those
at the house.
Yes, I worked on those at the house. But I guess I'll take it back and say that some of the pages that are being developed for issue 2 have been live at these events.
Yep.
And while we're doing the other podcasts or live streams that we're planning on doing, more pages will be worked on. I'll probably save page 11 and 12, and then on. Well, we won't get to 11 and 12 probably, but I won't do those live.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're probably going to want to not do some of these live.
I think I told you, and not to say anything, but I told you about 11 and 12.
Yes,
so
you did.
Those will be, we'll do those personally. I might, be drawn through some watery eyes, So we'll see.
Well, I guess at this point, I was gonna have you write down some questions when we were ready, but we were doing that B-roll footage. So, on top of outside of the nullified things and just the general aspect of anything, is there any questions that you would like to just ask?
I think the big ones to ask you is, how have you felt fighting through, technical difficulties first?
Yeah, that's been challenging. Because, and I know a lot of people have probably heard me say this. In fact, I did the live stream on TikTok one night, just messing around, seeing what it was capable of, and I struggled with the TikTok. That's the one that we've always had an issue with. But trying to get all the setup, like trying to figure out the shorts. Shorts are going to bring us views. The live stream videos, trying to get that stuff. The literal logistics of all these wires that are going everywhere.
Yeah.
And buying some extra stands. And then again, one of the things that I just invested in for us was the overhead table camera, which is not in use right now. But will be used hopefully in the future. If you're doing something like this, I will have one. Or when we're doing the card game, it'll come overhead. So it's been a learning experience. One of the things I kicked myself about is when we did the Paducah Hustle. I didn't do the YouTube thing where you set up a pod. That's what.
Yeah.
Paducah Hustle was when we went around to a bunch of local businesses.
Oh, right.
We could set up a flyer, do an event, and I did not think like a YouTuber, and I did not set up a camera.
Yeah.
And then run back and then walk up to the thing to catch the footage of us doing that. Also, the one I really kicked myself about was the Excedra event. It was such a cool event, and I did not get any B-roll footage from that. And it was so beautiful out there that day too.
Right, it was. Yep.
It was nice and sunny. They have a really cool space. They have a little cat running behind the back part, and I didn't. But it's hard to set up.
Yeah.
Think about that. Mm-hmm. You're nervous already, trying to hurry up and get everything. Plus, I'm dealing with all the technical aspects of it. Like, I got to get live. I got to do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, but is it worth it? How fun have you had, and how much excitement have you built up for yourself with King Panda Studio and working all this type of stuff? Because we've gotten some late messages, and it's just man, this is the coolest thing, being able to do this type of stuff. So,
yeah. It's actually really, I would say it's really exciting. it's really exciting working on the stuff that we want to work on. We've been dreaming about doing this for so long, and I've always had an interest in video editing. Not so much being on video, but that's just part of it. And it's fun doing that. It's frustrating to some extent.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing with art too. I mean, you're not just saying like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing." Sometimes you're sitting there beating your head against your, whatever you're drawing on. It's like, this is not working. So
I can tell you what's going to get hard. So obviously, we're creating a card game.
Yeah.
I have another card game in the old noggin that I need to write down. And we have a video game that's in development. There are quite a few that are like in the back burners that I have ideas on or already been pre-built to an extent. I took a hiatus from all of that right now. While we do the Kickstarter, because it's the first time I've ever done it, we're trying to build a social media presence, which has been insane trying to do.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you remember how excited.
You
weren't here. You weren't at the house when we hit the 100 follower mark on Facebook. I was so thrilled,
dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, this has been insanely cool. It's just been, I guess, a month now, but it has been the coolest month.
Yeah,
I'm kind of fanboying over the fact that we've been able to do this type of stuff, and like, I can't get over it.
It is really cool. It's been really cool. The conventions make it even, like, I get more excited. Like that first convention,
dude,
I'm
that
like
was
on
cool
a high
watching
now.
you, because like, I know who you are as a person, and a lot of times you just think that, let me figure this out.
Yeah.
Get away. But at there, you're like, I'm digging the fight. You're just walking around talking to people. It's like, man, look at Ryan go.
I had to switch. I had to put on the different hat. You know, I had to go into CEO. Like I got to get the King Panda out there. Yeah. Like, I got to go talk to people. We gotta co-founder. We got to go get these people.
Which, as we know, that's one of my strong suits anyway.
Yes.
But again, it was really cool watching you get out there and do that type of thing.
Yeah, because I couldn't afford you to do that during the event. Yeah. Because of what you were doing. So I had to do it myself.
Roles will be reversed for the next Kickstarter, because you're the one that's going to have to be talking about most of this stuff. This is your child that we're going to be kickstarting. So we're thinking about, right now I know all, Nullified is here, the cameras are on me and all that type of stuff. But guess what? All that's getting reversed when it comes to the next one, I mean, I don't know much about the marketing side of stuff, but I'm saying at conventions and stuff like that, talking about the projects,
come up and ask.
That's going to be all mainly you, because this is your brainchild.
Yeah,
so
it'd be interesting.
You're going to have to really figure out how to, which I think that you've done a phenomenal job with all this type of stuff. I mean, you're looking up, questions and answers and all this type of stuff like that. So I think that we've got a pretty good little lead here now. This year has really skyrocketed what we wanted to do.
Yeah, and I told you if you were serious about it and we were actually going to go for it, I would pour everything into it.
And you have. I'm telling you, man, you kicked all kinds of tail during this. I know it's been frustrating, and it's just been like, what the heck?
Well, I've explained to you that I hate doing the social stuff. I'm not a big social person. So,
I know,
or not social person, but like social media person.
Right. I somehow am even worse than you are at that, though. Like, who I am. I'm great at talking with people and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to online, I don't want to touch it. And I haven't for so long, and it's been at the detriment of both of us, I would say.
Yeah.
Because we've had quite a bit of projects that we should have been doing these videos for.
We weren't even sharing. We weren't doing lives. And, one of the things that I was talking about, I don't even remember the guy we graduated with him, but he runs KY Creekers on TikTok. So Matt from KY Creekers, I've been talking to him a lot because he does like the TikTok lives all the time. And I've just been venting to him about my frustrations with trying to do the TikTok live stuff and how I have to have a laptop to do it. And he's like, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah. We were literally just talking about it today. And he's like, well, how many people you got on TikTok? I'm like, well, we don't have that many followers on TikTok. I was like, most of our followers are on Facebook. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, well, you get there eventually. I was like, well, also, we've only been on TikTok doing stuff for like a week and a half.
A week TikTok and a half. Specifically, a week and a half.
TikTok specific. We've been on Facebook for a little bit now doing stuff. We haven't been on YouTube, so trying to grow those presence is challenging because those platforms live off a lot of short content. YouTube is just videos in general, but they have to be engaging.
Yeah, well, actually, this is going to lead to the other question I had with you, and I guess for both of us is Kickstarter is going to be ending in a month or somewhere around
20,
there.
22 days. Yeah.
What are we planning on doing after the Kickstarter's gone? Because I don't think that we just need to take a break.
Yeah.
Like, what is the plan of operation and attack once
Yeah.
the Kickstarter, which we've kind of been banking on for most of our online presence? What are you thinking for that?
That I think is where we're going to struggle because right now we have a goal, and the goal is while the Kickstarter's on, we've said I said from the beginning we gave ourselves a goal, and it was every weekend, even this weekend. We didn't really want you. You had an exhausting weekend. It's like, but we got to do something.
Yeah.
So staying with us is like doing it after the Kickstarter ends. I fear that we're probably going to struggle not only because, as I mentioned, granted I don't have to deal with the Kickstarter stuff as much. Well, first of all, we got to start doing fulfillments. Yeah. So one of our videos is going to be probably us just packaging stuff.
Right.
We're going to probably do some of those live streams maybe. Yeah. But we're going to have to set a schedule. So that's going to be hard.
That's what I was thinking is, I don't think that we should shy away from something per week.
No.
With King Panda Studio. I think that's the thing that's going to keep us, going.
Yeah.
And we have quite a bit of stuff to chew through. I mean, yes, we have the packaging. Past that, we still have card art we have to get through. We have a lot of playtesting we're going to probably be doing even before the Kickstarter launches. Like I said, we need to do that Kickstarter like a month in advance. We need to pre-launch that thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is like, going to local events, cons, and stuff like this. This is the type of stuff.
The events are definitely held in. Unfortunately, because we decided so late that we were missing a lot of the cons that we really want to go to.
Right.
But we're getting some events, so we got a few. Mm-hmm. But during those other times, it's going to be trying to do the fulfillments. It's going to be filming any stuff that we got for the art.
Which, issue 2, there's still a lot of art to do for that. I'm going to probably take this part of it up into a certain point, and then we'll talk about some of the process or some of the back stuff of it instead of just showing off the entire book right away.
Yeah.
But we still have a lot of this. We have card art, like I said. We have the game. So me and you need to really think about how we want to, show other people with live streams and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'll tell you something that I think is worth talking about, and I'll probably discuss it some more in the other launch, but talking about the mindset of creating a card game, that was interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even remember exactly how the idea spawned.
Right.
It was just like when I think about a card game. You know what? I think actually a lot of the frustration of that came from Magic the Gathering.
Think so?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out if you wanted it to be a trading card or a package or...
No, the actual game itself. One of the things, I love Magic the Gathering. I think it's a really cool game. It's got really cool abilities to build really cool worlds, and it's got cool spells and stuff. And also a little bit of like, you remember me talking about it, but chaotic. I love chaotic. And Magic the Gathering is a little bit in depth sometimes.
Emails.
I don't know. You're dinging a lot.
Jeez.
So a lot of it came from like, I think I told you the story where I read descriptions on Magic the Gathering cards, and I think I know how they work, and I play them, and then somebody's like, "That's not how that works."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's how it reads to me. So the frustration of that bothers me. So I literally set out with the mindset of, can I build a cool Magic game?
While we talk about what we're talking about.
Yeah, let me just make sure everything's back on. It looks like it is. So yeah, anyways, what I was talking about with the card game, even the video games that I try to build, you've noticed that they're not heavy story games.
Right.
They're more like arcade style, like you can get into it and not have to spend a whole lot of investment into it.
Which I very much want to get more into the story driven stuff.
Me too.
Because we've got some ideas cooking for story based things. So I want to get there.
I agree. And I'll tell you the one thing that has held us back is, well, experience first of all, but is also when you have a story game, you have to spend so much more
Oh, yeah.
time
Mhm.
into it. And it helps when you build, it doesn't matter what style it is, it doesn't matter if it's 2D or 3D, you have to build those cinematic
Yeah.
cameras.
Mhm.
And you have to set up the story, and then you have to set up all the logical events that happen. If this is done, this is done, this is done, going through.
Yeah, thinking about that, that's definitely where I'm gonna have to probably come into play with that until we get more people on the team or whatever, because you do have to start thinking about your angles, or your color palette and all that type of stuff like that. All that stuff matters, way more than you imagine it mattering. Like if a whole scene is kind of like green tone or whatever, like all that type of stuff. And lighting and all that, it's going to matter where your eye's going, because if you don't do it, that person's just looking all over the place and there's nothing being told.
Yeah. And also on top of that, and I would say this for anybody who ends up listening to this, when you're building a game at first glance, I'm not saying if you have a story you want to build and to just give up on it, not at all. But if you want to get into even card games or video games especially, I would start with arcade. Start with something that doesn't require a lot of story investment, something that's fun, something that gets people hyped up.
Yeah.
Don't go super complex on the mechanics.
That's super funny to think about, because the very first book that we made, I'm like, oh, this is going to be deep. This isn't just a one-shot book. So that's super funny.
Well, but it's different because with you're doing the comic book, and that's what it's about. Where the video games,
it's got a lot of other types of
so
mechanics
many
involved.
Because you're doing the art, you're doing the sound, you're doing the design work, you're doing the coding. All that has to mesh together.
Right.
Now, a card game is a different story. Depends on what kind of card game you're going for. Not a lot of them typically do like what I would say is like a story building.
Card games, I wouldn't imagine, but I think the difference is not story but theme.
Right, theme.
It's got to be on theme, on brand, on theme, that type of situation.
Yeah,
and then you start to, go through the story as you're playing the thing. So,
but building something simpler gives you the experience and it gives you a win.
Yep.
And I'm say that as if we have had experience with it. I mean, how many projects have we been through? We've been through
4.
Eon,
Dungeon Divers.
There was one before that though, wasn't there?
The Tower.
The Tower one. Tower Escape.
Yeah.
Tower Escape. Yes.
Tower Escape. That was after, because we're like, oh, we need to make something simpler.
Yeah.
And then we were like, we just kept on thinking about stuff. We were in a world building stage, I think is really what it was, and we didn't even figure out the mechanics of an escape room.
We struggled with,
but we were
Unity
also exactly Unity. We're like, do we do that one or do we do Unreal?
We had a lot of issues with character movement in that though.
No, we had more issues with character movement in Unreal for the longest time because I could not figure out the armature.
Yeah.
Unity, we did not have issues with the character movement. We just had issues because
I remember it was
started.
They like ran like a what's that, Fall Guys?
Oh yeah, kind of.
I didn't like that way. Yeah. Unreal had a better movement system, but again, the skeleton meshing and all that was difficult.
Yeah, and another big issue is the fact of like Maya would be extremely helpful, but
that's expensive.
It's expensive, and I don't have like a whole super lot of, especially these projects because you don't want to lose steam. But you do have to learn a whole new system with that. So
yep, exactly. Software learning, even TikTok, going into that's
when it comes to 3D,
something that's hard to do.
We'll probably be looking at hopefully getting some more team members for art. Maybe not so many like engineers, coders, and stuff like that. I think that you've got a pretty good grasp on that, and it's not great to have multiple people doing that. Anyways, I would imagine. But with art, there's always something you have to do.
Yeah.
So
depending on the scale of the game, you don't need a whole lot of coders. I'm not saying that.
You need testers. You need all that type of stuff. But
I mean, if your game is a small style like ours, one, maybe two.
Yes. But this is all, the beginning stages. Depending on the projects that you're working on, keep it to scale. Don't let it balloon, which has been told to people before, is you get in there, you get really passionate. You start talking about some really cool stuff, but
Mm,
then it starts to get really big, and you
You know-
don't have the power to do it.
talking about that, even Aether Forge, which we're in development on, and we shared maybe like 2 posts about, kind of hinted at it.
Some of the ship design, early ship designs,
Right, which
I
is
still have to learn. That's a whole learning process too, because
Yeah.
I haven't ever done ship design sci-fi at all. So this is a fully different system.
which that in itself, though, was meant to be like a simple game, and granted, we're still keeping to that, and that's the one I'm taking hiatus from right now. But that in itself, we came up with some more ideas, and we're having to like make sure we stick to like the MVP, the most viable product.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that is a cool idea. Let's shove that feature over here in this bin, and it's like to work on at a later date.
Yeah, for
After
sure.
the game's launched, probably. Because I had that idea of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like you launched a pod onto another person? And
And then I was like, well, we probably don't need to think about that.
Right, and we also talked about the planet. Thing.
The planet systems where you might be like a type of mechish type thing or whatever.
Even some of the features that we have by default, I think we're going to have to probably implement in as phases that are meant to be
I'd tell
MVP.
you, a great game to look at for all this type of stuff is DE with Soulframe.
Yeah.
Me and you have gotten in there, and we've seen what theirs is. Their preludes is what they call those. They're on, I think, 9 now. It just dropped. But anyways, being able to, because me and you were both in there looking at some of the development side of things.
Yes.
First off, we absolutely, I know I love the fact that they're so open with a lot of their systems, and we should do the exact same thing. Like this is kind of what's working right now, and just show people the fact that, like, I have the mind that people want to see stuff made.
Yeah, they want to be a part of the journey.
Yeah. So, I love the way that it's not a finished product yet, but every month they're coming out with some cool new ideas and all type of stuff, and so we'll have to get to that type of system as well, probably. But our whole thing with King Panda is the fact that we're so open and inviting people into the journey, and hopefully wanting people to almost actively participate in some of this stuff. We're telling their stories and all that type of stuff. We are inviting people to show off their art, show off their talents and stuff they're passionate about, whether that's podcasting, which I guess this is what this is.
Yeah, essentially.
We're just kind of chatting about stuff. But like from that to voice acting to animations, literally anything. Yeah. We're wanting people
to bring up their stuff.
To bring it up. We want to see that type of stuff.
And we know people who want to do voice acting. We know writers who want to make a comic book.
Yes.
We know artists who don't really know what to do aside than just they can draw and I want to do something with it, but I don't know what to do.
Not sure what to do yet. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, let's try to give these people a home.
And since we are here in this building, which again, love it. It's not my room, but still love this building. A lot of people here, it's tabletop. So I've seen a lot of interest in just making modules and monsters.
Yeah.
And again, love that. Like, if that's what somebody's interested in doing, we want to see that flourish.
Right.
And, like, actually come to... Because it would be the coolest thing in the world to be like, I know we're playing, like, this, like, thing that's been made. We spent $30-$40 on it. This is our package we're opening up. How much cooler is it, though, whenever it's not just a homebrew, but your own module that you have set up?
Yeah.
I've even told you I think it'd be awesome to tabletop Nullify. So like people that are wanting to make monsters or modules and stuff like that, show off the work, and we'll see how we can help. Again, it's always going to be very important for us to say this too, for anybody that is wanting to participate and show off. All that is yours. We aren't taking any of that.
Talk about that.
We don't, but we should. When we say we want you to show off your work, we mean your work.
Yeah.
That's not our IP. You show it off. Yeah. It's yours, though. Like that's the thing that we really want to come across.
I don't think we really, and I don't think some people understand the significance of that, and I don't think other people do. And that is something that we don't talk about enough. Is as we grow as a studio and people bring their stuff, your IP is your IP. Mm-hmm. Your work is yours. You own it.
King Panda will have their projects,
but
you will have your project that we are just helping you fulfill what you need fulfilled.
Unless you're literally part of the team, King Panda Studio
Yeah.
and working on something that as a company we've decided upon and we're working on out of the banner of King Panda Studio, that project is yours. If you brought something to us as I need help with this as an editor, as a marketing, as in general, just need help with connections and building something. Like the whole part is this is yours, and the only thing we're gonna do is, you know, you're gonna pay a small fee to help for us to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're not gonna be out here like, oh, we'll take 70 and you get 30.
No.
Like
we're going to
want to take
to make sure that we can continue to give
offer
this
services to other people.
That's what we're about. It's not great to say as a studio, but I mean, our focal point is more of seeing these projects made.
Yeah, it's not that we're not trying to be greedy.
No,
we just want to help people get their work out there and build a studio that will last long enough so that people in the area, in the local area, can continue to bring their stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to take enough that the studio thrives so that we help another artist or writer.
That's the whole point. That's what we're trying to do.
But we're not going to take enough that's going to completely ravage your entire project.
No, absolutely not.
And it's crazy because there are places out there that will do that. They will be like, oh, yeah. We'll help you meet an artist and we'll do the editor stuff for you and the marketing. But we're going to take 70% or 60%, and you're the hard.
We do the heavy lifting, so we're going to take this much. That's not going to be us. Like our whole thing is not to make all of our money off of you or your projects and what you want to do. Instead, we simply want to see more stuff made.
Right.
We want to just cut out as much barrier of entry as possible because, you know, we've had kind of the same stuff for so long. It's just, you know, I think incredibly cool to see some of this new stuff coming through.
It's cool seeing
stepping out of that way, you know.
It's cool seeing people, and I tell you, I'm gonna be really excited when we get to the point where we're big enough that people are starting to bring our stuff. Yeah. Which, on that note, this summer we're doing some workshops.
We are
at the local art school.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm excited.
Have we nailed that down yet?
I think we had a date, but we probably need to just confirm again. Yeah. But we do have those dates. Loose idea. They already talked to us about doing it. We're talking about doing workshops on that, and I'm excited to see what people bring us to that point.
Yeah,
because it's so easy at that point. You do a workshop, and then somebody gets inspired by the fact that they've already got something like halfway set up.
That's all it was for me.
And it's like, okay, cool. Like I want to continue this, and it's like they come to us, and at that point, it's like, great, absolutely. And this is yours.
It's all theirs, and the amount that they want us to help with is up to them as well. You know what I'm saying? That's. I would say if it's just for the context, then it's just for the context. Now, if it's with development, then we talk about development or whatever it is. Just simply saying, you know, pushing it out to our stuff, whatever it might be. You know, we want to offer those types of services. Sometimes you just need to be told, "Hey, make the thing."
You know, and something we don't even get into too much. We talked about this in there might be people who out there already have some stuff they want to do, but they don't know how to market it.
Yeah.
And like that's where we come to play because we've already took that leap, and it's a hard leap to take. And some people just don't really want to do it. Some people don't want to sit on a live and sit here in front of people or not in front of people and take those clips and edit them and put them on. You know, because it takes time.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's two of us, and I don't mind doing it. On top of that, there are people out here, aside from the creative, artistic side, you have programmers. You also have people who want to do camera work and editing around here. There are people, that's what they want to do.
Right.
And we would actually have a place for them to go because if we expanded our team to an extent, we could come up with the plans and the development of, okay, let's host a podcast and let's invite that person on and they can just interview style.
Exactly.
Let's talk about your work.
Yeah.
And that's the things that we can offer because that's marketing for them.
Exactly.
But they don't have to do all the trouble of setting it up.
Right. That helps them out, but also they get to share the knowledge that they've gathered from this point, which in this industry, I don't like secrets anyway. Secrets of the trade, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Anybody can do something. It's about the willingness to do the thing. That's why I'm okay showing all this process. Because even while showing this, some people are like, that's awesome. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So what's the harm in just showing this type of stuff off anyways?
And we've talked about this before. It's not that we're discouraging people from this ever being a thing. Like, if you come to a workshop and you set up your thing and then you decide, I'm going to go do this on my own, great.
Yep.
If you build a company out of it, that's even
awesome.
better, because that just brings more of that style of companies and work to this area.
That's awesome.
If it's
giving people
if it's part of us or not, it's
absolutely.
Whatever.
And majority of the community, anyways, is working together around here.
Yeah.
And I've noticed even the indie community too. We've talked to quite a few indie creators.
Awesome. Absolutely amazing.
And they are absolutely willing to be like, we got you.
Yeah.
So like the amount of love and support, it's out there for people. You know, it's not dog eat dog all the time.
No.
And that's not what we're offering. You know, what we're offering is literally like, we got you. I mean, and if you want to make your own studio to try to do exactly what we're doing,
all the power to you.
Have at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll keep doing our thing.
Yeah.
That's
and because you get out there, other people see it, they get excited, they want to come to us. But there are people out there who don't want to take that leap, because when you get into it, you'll realize. And I'm not saying that to discourage anybody. Absolutely, try to do your own stuff. But if you get to it and you're like, that is too much for me.
Yeah,
that's fine. We'll do it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So a lot of that. I don't know. Is there any questions you want to ask me about like game development or come up with card games or anything?
Well, we kind of hit some of the card game, and why you're making that card game. I do like the approach that me and you have. So this is a 2-man operation.
Yes.
Majority of it. We've had some also. Some people join in every once in a while. Our good friend Daniel has joined in and done some stuff with us. And then we've had some other people kind of come in and go. But this is mainly just a 2-man operation.
Yep.
What I'd say is that's been kind of a challenge, obviously, because it's just a lot to eat, just a lot to get through. But the way that we did it, I think, worked, especially with this back end of it. When me and you were both on the same project, we are both ambitious people, and so we kept on ballooning some of our ideas and stuff like that. But I did like this approach to begin with of I'm a shadow in my shadows make this comic. I'm not going to bring a lot to you. I'm going to make this book, and then I'm going to give it to you and see what you think. And then while I was doing that, you were making a card game I didn't know about. So it somehow helped us both out that we had already finished most of the leg race, and we brought the project to each other almost at the end of it.
Yeah.
Instead of being like,
it was like a trade, like
basically. As soon as I got this done, you were showing me the cards. Yeah. I was like, sweet. Yeah. That's actually great that happened that way. We got 2 projects done instead of just working solely on the one.
Yeah.
And literally done. I mean, I know I have to do the card art.
The artist really needs to get on work.
Yeah, no, we fired him. We hired him. But me and you both got projects finished.
Keep going. You're fine.
And I guess what I'm meaning by that is I think that was a benefit. Weirdly enough, even though it's only a 2-man operation, that we were like independently working on some stuff for a majority of it, and then bringing it to the table afterwards.
Yeah. I'm taking pictures. Send that guy that does KY Creekers.
Oh, cool. What did you think about that while I was working on this book? How were you feeling about me working on Nullified?
Well, so to be honest, you kind of like took a straight hiatus.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I feel like at a certain point last year, and it's weird because me and you grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if it's a week and I don't actually talk to you or see you, it's strange.
Right.
It's so weird. I feel like a piece of myself is missing.
Right.
And you literally doing that. You were so busy with the commissions and the comic book, and during that phase, I was like, I don't know what to do, because making a game, and also I think this is something, but making a game by yourself is not possible. It's very hard. And there's a lot of things. So I just really messed around for a little while. And at some point I was just like, whenever that idea just came to me, I was just like, I'm just going to mess around and, you can do something like that. I just started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is something I can do by myself. And that's how I felt. I was like, I had Adobe Studio at the time, or Adobe Photoshop, whatever.
Yeah, the suite.
Yeah, and I was like, I can do this. This is something I can do myself.
Right.
And I was like, I don't really need you right now to help with this. Like, I can do the logical, functional building blocks of this. And when I'm done, and I'm like, I need artwork, I can just say, here you go. Hey, Nate, can you possibly do this? Now, if you would have said no, I don't know what I would have done.
Right. Well, we had even talked about, you went to Fiverr or whatever that was called, and you got somebody else to do it. And it's just we found out. I mean, we have very specific styles that we like and enjoy, and so we'll probably keep it to that. But yeah, I mean, while I was working on this book for the year and a half, and then last year pushing it, we did not talk a lot about King Panda Studio. We only brought King Panda Studio back up around, what was it, October, November, whenever I was like, all right, let's get this title through there.
Right, which I didn't know, because you were really wanting to do Nullified and just kind of run it yourself for a little while and see what you could do with it. And so we just really weren't doing anything with KPS. And I was just like, all right, well, if you're going to run to that for a little while, it's like, I don't know what to do. So that made the card game just because I wanted to play a board game, which y'all were coming over.
Yeah,
I was buying board games.
Yeah, we were still playing.
I was buying all kinds of board games.
We just weren't talking about studio projects.
Right. But we were playing all those board games, and I was like, I just want to have this.
Yeah.
But that's how I get with every game. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you feel the same way when you built Nullify, but when I'm sitting there, I'm like, this game's cool, but I don't know why they didn't do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I would have liked to seen it this way. And I'm
For sure.
I'm going to do it myself.
Absolutely. Well, as I have said, Marcus himself came out of, mages are cool, but I don't like how slow they are.
Yeah.
So even that little weird principle of that idea of like, this is cool, but yeah.
And talking about that in a sense, because we've kind of came full circle across all of our stuff. Except for the card game. The card game is not really tied into anything, but we developed.
Beg to differ, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, we will talk about that, not on recorded. But, through this, you built in a one focal lens Nullified. Mm-hmm. And as we started talking about these things, our world building started becoming wider scope. Because it's hard to say, okay, let's build an entire thing and let's start up way up here and then let's move down. It's like, no, let's start down here and then we'll build out this world. And that's what you did with Nullified. We started there, and then we had another idea, and we started like, wait a minute, like, let's think about this. And then we came up, and we came with all these different ideas outside that are not recorded, and we will not be divulging for a little while. Maybe hinted at, wink, wink. But
only those that know and will know.
Yeah, and so we came out with I still don't know if I'm sold on Pandora's Nexus because I really want to exaggerate the panda part of it, but the Pandora's Nexus. Panda Nexus.
No, we can't do Pandora because
that's Avatar. That's the blue people.
Oh, I thought it was World of Warcraft.
No, that's
what's their place called?
Something with an A.
Oh, I thought it was Pandarum or something.
No, that's Pandora. Or Pandora is a place where pandas are.
Yes.
Yeah, in World of War. Sorry,
yes.
I thought you were talking about something.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
But there's also Pandora. Is it
it's Pandora? Because Pandora's box.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. Which has been used in Greek, anyways.
But Pandora's Nexus.
Some type of something on that.
Is going to be a universe that can hold
all
multiple
of our
worlds. There is something that's going to be in this universe that may connect this story.
Possibly, or may not.
It may or may not.
Oh my gosh.
And Dungeon Divers.
Dungeon Divers.
Something we've not talked about. We've not even really shared a whole lot about it.
We've shared zero online about
No, that's not technically. I think we shared a character model.
Did we?
And a background that you made. Maybe. Potentially.
Oh,
there's a potential.
Yeah, well...
But we've been trying to build that one for a while.
If I'm sitting here thinking a lot, I think it was a lot of, in these types of projects, first off, ballooning, yes. I think we're scared of storytelling. I think that's what it was for a little bit. At least it seemed too much. It's like, because the games that we try to develop, a lot of them are like, we're not going to focus on a story. We're making them arcade. So like that thought process of like, well, let's just make stuff that just doesn't involve story because we don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
After this, though, that's changed, especially with Dungeon Divers, because you started it off with like, it could be a lot more.
There's a
story
lot
to
happening
be
there
told
now.
there.
Yeah. Oh, from the original idea to what it is now, it's vastly changed.
Like, even while we were actually actively developing it with 3D models and stuff like that, we were even still talking about it being very little on the story. Whereas now, we get to really consider some of those types of aspects. Now, if we could actually develop those in the engine, we don't know. But graphic novels are still a thing.
I think that's where... But we've also talked about this for a while. And I think we now set the bar where we have it. And that is, with the games, there comes to be a point where there's a lot of things that have to happen for it to be good. Yeah. And a lot of expertise. 3D modeling. Yeah. The FX, depending on if you're doing 3D or not.
The UI.
The functional code. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot. It's a big project. And I think that was one of the things that kept us from making those things. But also, with this, now that we took a step back away from that for a while, we've talked about potentially doing some comics and stuff for the worlds that we're building. And now that we have the Nullified series, you have that experience.
We literally know how to make sequential pages and storytelling through this type of medium. Yes.
Now we're at a point where it's like, okay, with Dungeon Divers, we've been talking about some of the story that we want to tell through this eventually, whether it's in the game or outside the game, there's some really cool things that we can build out of this. Yeah. And I'm really excited because aside from Nullified, I think if we end up building a story series about Dungeon Divers, we could have 2 flagship stories.
Yeah.
Well, and they're going to be huge.
I haven't discussed a whole super lot of the other project that I would love to work on, and I would want to get you in the fold of for a good chunk of it too, which would be our other love. So this one is absolutely fantasy based, magic and all that type of good stuff.
So is Dungeon Divers.
Dungeon Divers as well. But our other love is sci-fi. Me and you love some robots and some sci-fi action. So that's another project that miniseries or whatever we want to call it that I'm wanting to develop, and that will lead into our Aetherforge universes and stuff like that. Yep. Yes, so other types of graphic novels and stories and stuff like that will be coming out of this Nexus situation that we're talking about.
I would agree. Now, reverting back, talking more granular, yes, more about the comic book series. Something I meant to ask you earlier, because I've been watching this anime called Bakuman. I told you to watch it like multiple times.
Yeah.
I wish you would watch it. You're not going to watch it because they never did an English dub on it. They tried, and something happened, and now it's tied up in a legal battle. Oh, anyways, stupid. Really good series. You would get a kick out of it. You would love it. I love it. It's all about drawing manga. It's the same thing, drawing panel layouts. It really focuses on actually drawing and the whole theory behind all that.
Right.
It's really good for that. But when you're drawing a panel...
You about to ask how I do it?
No, not going to ask that, even though that was hilarious. How do you decide in one panel where the perspective point is going to be?
So, again, a lot of it is the magic. If we look at this page right here, we've shown it a little bit. It's not changed that much. But what we're seeing a lot is this face goes to this face. And I'm hoping that this action line here brings you back down to this. So I'm still thinking about the magic shape. As far as angles and stuff like that, that is something that there's movies that play as I'm thinking about scenes. Whenever I'm coming up with a story, I'm one of those, and I've heard from quite a few different writers and artists, specifically artists actually, that they also play movies in their head while they're sitting back or listening to a song or whatever it is, watching a movie. They start to see these scenes playing on in their head. And a lot of that, you think about the cameraman. Yeah. The almighty cameraman.
Yeah, the one who is stronger than anybody in the universe.
And you start to think about what are they trying to capture?
Yeah.
You only have so many panels per page. Most of the time, maximum is 6. If you're going above it from in my type of thing, I haven't figured out how to go past 5 actually. Now some other people they can get to 6 and all that type of stuff like that. But you have 5 panels to be able to show off a cool camera thing. It also lends into the rule of the reader following what they need to follow, telling the story they want to. So you really have to think of what's a cool enough angle that leads you to the next page, you know?
Yeah.
So in my instance, I'm really trying to think of, because Nullified, it's a lot of Marcus fighting, especially as of right now.
Yeah.
You know, and there'll come a time where I have to figure out what's good dialogue pages and stuff like that. Like, what's good layouts for these characters being emotional.
There's times when you're just not even going to have dialogue in fight scenes.
As of right now, Nullified issue 1, pretty much all of it had some fighting involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Issue 2 is going to have mostly fighting in it. So 3,
it's going to be unique.
It's going to be very different for me to figure out because it's not going to have as much fighting involved if I do it correctly.
I told you this before because thinking about the style of story, I've read a story recently which was the Sword and the Wand. I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I think I remember.
And there's a lot of like cool fight scenes in there. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very cool fight scenes. And there's a lot of panels. And I'm gonna have to go back now and read it because of what you're saying and actually look at that whole S thing and see if it's there because I'm curious. But yeah, But I asked about the perspective point because in that Bakuman movie or show, one of the characters he's listed as a genius for making manga, and they literally like, how's he? They literally asked like, how is he picking the perspective point? Dude was just literally like, just up in there and just like.
Oh yeah.
Like just started like just randomly going. Like he didn't actually pick. He just blankly just said.
Specifically, right perspective is so freaking funny that you said because this is me not being a diligent artist. I didn't realize where you're supposed to put the perspective. I was just going off of sheer instinct.
Yeah.
And a lot of the pages and a lot of my character art before was very flat because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it a lot. So I think you really want, again, it's the cameraman angle. If you have a bottom perspective, if you see your horizon line at the bottom, you shouldn't have people standing on top of it because then it becomes a 2D thing. I wasn't really thinking about that.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Now as I'm thinking about it, if it's at the bottom, that character needs to be up here and it needs to be shot upwards toward them. If it's up top, then that character needs to be down around this quarter or whatever you want to call it. And if it's in the middle, it's a whole different thing as well. So like, it's actually extremely important. And then you have your Dutch angle, which comes across, and that's where you're cool. Like this is
talking about this because I've been watching a lot about, if you have seen it or not, the Theron, Beyond the Journey of Theron or whatever.
Yeah.
They talk a lot about it really plays heavily on the rules of third.
Yes.
Do you use that in your panels?
I have thought about the rule of third quite a bit, especially with the Horizon ones. I always find it a little bit harder if I have a rectangular panel.
Yeah.
Then you just have to think of your brackets and what you want. But do your research and figure that out. But as you can actually see here, this should be a fairly clean shot that I've done here. And for most of the other ones, I want you to feel like, okay, I know she's there. I know he's here. Instead of like, okay, what's happening in the background?
Yeah, you definitely got like, there is the literal line, which I know you can't see it, but the literal line is right about their faces, roughly. Mm-hmm. So you got the rule of third there.
And then he's for this one, he's in the middle, but she's above, so you know that she's still doing something. And this one's going to be chaotic, but you're still seeing the massive beam that will lead your eye to the thing. And they're still facing kind of a little bit more away from each other.
In something I'm interested in, something that they talk about in Finran a lot, or people have been talking about online about. There's panels in there where when she's got this weird upset thing going on, like there's something happening, or they're trying to make it awkward for the reader. They've actually had generally when you're doing the rule of third, apparently wherever the face is, you make it look, if it's on 1/3 of the panel, you're looking at the rest of the 2/3 of the panel. Mm-hmm. Where in there, when they're trying to show this like weird, disappointed and awkward state, they actually made her on 1/3 of the page, ignoring the other 2/3 of the page and looking at the edge of the panel.
Yeah, like it's like a complete disconnect from what you believe.
Yeah, and it just kind of this.
That's such an interesting thing to consider.
I'm only saying that because there's a scene coming up. I'm curious if you could implement something like that, or how you're going to implement it.
Scene coming up. Like as I was doing this, and as I was writing down my thing, I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get through it, because like in my mind, there's not a getting through this one. Like I have a feeling like I don't know exactly how I want to get it done, because it's going to be like traumatizing to myself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, that one's going to be very interesting how it's pulled off.
I'm
got some ideas.
I'm telling you as a reader. Obviously, you're a storyteller. I'm telling you as a reader who's already read the issue 1, I know the story of where it's going. It's going to be hard until you tell more of the story of that person.
Yeah.
Because it's just, the impact's not going to be there.
Oh, we'll see.
If you prove me wrong, I would love it.
I don't know if I will or not, but I have a feeling it's going to be like...
It's going to be jarring, though. I'll tell you that. It will be jarring. It will be one of the moments you're like, what? Like, what? What?
So there's going to be some rewriting done in the first book that should, I'm hoping to
alleviate
more a little bit, just a little bit more of like the connections and such like that. Hopefully. But with the second book and the specific pages, I got some scenes in mind that should be like hard to see for myself. Like, oh no, oh man, I'm a bad person for this one.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I have some ideas and some interesting things too. Where how in this book we actually do not begin the story with Marcus. Instead, we begin with Dimitri.
Yeah.
I thought about the back end of the book, taking the perspective away from Marcus for a second, just for a second.
In issue 1?
Issue 2.
Oh yeah, I would. Well, you're already going to do that, though, aren't you? Because right after the first, 12 pages, you said you had something else going on, so it's not even going to be on him anyways.
That's what I'm thinking.
So you're totally going to break away from him. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I didn't think you'd come back to him until maybe issue 3.
That's what I'm thinking. Issue 3, we get back to Marcus and stuff like that. Because, again...
you got a lot of world building to do.
A lot of world building, and, with this story, it's not just this is the only character in it. The reason, there's a reason why I was trying to get the other side story done first.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
But I obviously won't probably be able to get to that one. Instead, we'll probably get issue 2 done, and then while issue 2 is being this or whatever we're trying to do, Ghosts will be development because it's already got it's got about 10 pages that I've already kind of sketched out, and some lore building, stuff like that. So it's already well on the way of development of the identity of Ghost.
Right.
So that one, obviously it's going to take the time it's going to take, but I have faith that it should not take a lot of, I don't know what to do. What I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
But yes, the perspective thing, that's a great question, and it's definitely something that plays in my mind. A lot of reference to other masters. I read quite a bit of Mike Mignola. A lot of his. He did a Hellboy, which I have a few of those. His Witcher series that he worked on, I have a few of those. Because when developing Marcus, a lot of the questions I was asking is, how do I not make him Geralt?
Yeah. I've told people when they ask, what is nullified? I'm like, okay, it's not similar, but if you think about what the Witcher style is, think about that when you think about what nullified. Because as you read it, you're gonna be like, okay, I see some of that
monster fighting, taking down. I mean, he's kind of broody. Yeah, he's not as he's not as much of what Geralt is.
Right.
He's not the same fighter, and he doesn't have the same philosophies as Geralt and stuff. But he's a fighter of monsters, just for a different cause. And even the way that some people treat Marcus specifically is not so great.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that you can kind of draw similarities to in all of it, the biggest similarity is the fact that there's a group of people and it's not everybody. And in The Witcher, it's the same thing.
Right.
And that's probably the biggest similarity. You know, aside from the fact that you fight monsters, but almost every story, I think, you fight monsters.
Yeah.
So.
In this one, you're doing it to preserve humanity. In that one, you're doing it for a job.
Yeah.
Majority of the time. Yeah. So this one is specifically humans are monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Or transforming into monsters. So you're having to like, hey, don't do that. That type of situation. So there's some differences, but always in the back of my mind, how do I not make this just Witcher? That plays on quite a bit. But I do read a lot of his book there. I love his style. The chunky black shadows and the way he breaks characters is so cool to me. It's the coolest thing to see. Like, that's a human, but does not have the anatomy of a human.
Right.
Looks so cool. So that's a lot of inspiration. And then Keanu Reeves' book, Berserker.
Yep.
That's another one that I'll flip through and be like, because it's brutal. The way he's fighting is like, well, in the first book he's like a caveman. So it's like just like the way he's fighting is huge, you know. And like I said, brutal. So like I look at that for some inspirations and stuff like that too. Looking at inspirations is pretty important, I would say.
I would say, going back to something you said earlier, we'll wrap up here in a minute, but you said something about how usually when I'm thinking about perspective, I'm thinking about the cameraman and the scenes play in my head. I think it's funny you say that because I do the same thing. The only problem is I have no actual way of depicting it, and it bugs me so bad.
You know what it is, though? What you're doing now, I think, is way more important than what I had. Yes, I was born with a creative mind, but way more importantly than a creative mind is a diligent mind. Somebody that is just, again, chipping away. I'm not just a born master at this thing. This is not something that I knew how to do.
Right, you've honed this over years.
Yes, exactly that. This is the thing that I am diligent about learning how to do.
Right.
Learning is way more important than just that initial...
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't be where we were if you didn't do all this.
No. It's more about the hard work that it takes to be able to do something like this, more than it's just a natural... Okay, I can draw the scene. I got you.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. It's literally me like, I can't draw that scene yet. I can't draw it yet. Still not yet. And just continually going through that and, not sleeping and not doing the stuff that you're supposed to take care of yourself and a lot of caffeine and a lot of that type of stuff. But like I said, like what you're doing now, like I still want to try this even though I'm not the best at it. That's where it is. That's where art is.
And a lot of it where I'm trying to get to, and I think this is one of the reasons I love Bakuman for this instance. I'm sorry to go back to this, but it's a two-man team. It's a story writer and an artist. The artist can't really write stories. The story writer can't draw. Mm-hmm. However, in the scene, the story writer learns how to make storyboards for the artist, so he knows what to draw. And in it, instead of just drawing stickmans like he used to, he started getting to the point where he would at least try to sketch out something with perspectives a little bit better, a little bit, not a whole lot. It still was very bad. You would never use it. Mm-hmm. But it was something you had to. And, like, I'm trying to get to that point where, like, if I have something I want to give you, even if it's just, like, a literal concept of a print for some, like, marketing thing, and I have it in my head, I've even done it with a card art. I drew something and was like, here. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get better about that just because I'm not an artist. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you get better over time, but I have more focus on something else.
Right, yeah.
So it's like, if I can get my idea to you and allow you to just put your creative flair into it, it'll just hopefully work
because we're holding two different skill sets fully. You know, like I will never get to the engineering creative, like the making the thing work. That level, I know I'll never get to that level. I'm actually taking more of a back seat to that now. Whereas in Unreal, I was like, I'm gonna learn some of this.
Right.
I've decided.
And I told you, I was like, don't do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do the art.
Remember, we had a long conversation because it's like, I don't mind you doing it, but I'm telling you, you don't want to go down this rabbit hole because you're going to get here and there's going to be other stuff that you're going to have to do and you're going to have to do this, and it gets really confusing. Now, you can there's artists who absolutely do it. Sure. But when you have a guy like me and you have I want you to spend the most time on your art so that people, when they see it, they're like,
Yes, exactly.
This is a
it's more of
Nathan Lawson
defined
work.
thing, exactly.
And like that's what I want. I want them to be like,
Yeah,
that's Nathan Lawson.
like we could all.
That's his art.
I think it's. I ask this type of question a lot, and I think they're both valid. But I almost, when it comes to some stuff, I'd prefer to be a master at the one thing.
Yes.
Now that's not necessarily the case for us because we're also doing game development and card art and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to like stuff outside of the creative realm, I won't really step into anymore because I can master the creative realm to my ability to be able to master it while you're doing the exact opposite stuff, and that's going to help us out way more in the long run.
Yeah, when you have like it's like two parts of the mind, you know, like
So, just really being comfortable with like you got that end, I'll have this end.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And it's great doing it. It's honestly like a breath of fresh air knowing like I can hand you like I just hand you the cards and I'm like, can you do that?
Yeah.
Obviously we still gotta do it, but I know that you're gonna be able to deliver where the guy from Fiverr, me and you are just in sync, and it's like I don't know, I can't talk to this guy aside from a message. And like he obviously did not get my design across. But anyways, so talking about some of the things, you know, we talked about how we're gonna still going 22 days with a Kickstarter for Nullified. So
it's been a heck of a ride right now. I mean, this has been above what I was really thinking we'd be able to even accomplish. So again, that type of support is amazing. We have 22 days left.
So I mean, you know, we talked about the things that we're working on. You know, we got the issue 1 coming into a close here within the next 20-ish days. We're gonna have to start doing more content. We're gonna try to do probably like more podcast style content like this. We got workshops coming up. There was a lot of things we talked about in this. And you know, I'll probably make some shorts about that for people. And really just kind of, if you haven't already, go to the Kickstarter to get some of the exclusive rewards for the stuff that we've already talked about, like the card game, what was the other one before the card game? I've already forgot because
the character and monster concept book.
Yes, and then there's also the name in the book, which is really cool. So if you want to be solidified in stone with the Nullified book, go to the Kickstarter, get some of those cool exclusive rewards. I'm still thinking about throwing a limited time only near the end of the Kickstarter for something. So there could be some more exclusive rewards coming for it, just to try to get some last minute backers in. And there'll only be a few of this item. So you know, go there, back us. We'd be very appreciative of all your support. And you know, the next stream will probably be us doing the card game, I think, potentially.
Either that or the variant cover.
Yeah, well, depending on what you got going on, we could probably do that like later in the week, like on a weekday. And then do the playtest on a weekend. Right. Or we could flip-flop that maybe. I feel like it's harder.
I only have the beginning of the week because work is Wednesday through Friday, and then we have Saturdays.
So then there could be something I'll post about it.
We could do it Monday or Tuesday if not too crazy, but
yeah, I don't want to wear you. I know you've been doing a lot,
quite a bit.
But
basically, we're going to keep it going, you know, and
absolutely
keep seeing how far this thing goes. Again, like this Kickstarter, it's now a success. So whatever happens, those people are getting their books.
You're absolutely getting your stuff. 100%.
Which is incredible. It's not like a worry of like, well, I don't want to back it because it might not succeed.
Yeah.
This time, it's a success. Anybody that gets the book or puts into the book, they get the book.
And the book's done. The book's done. You're not waiting on it. It's just we are going to reprint the versions of the stuff that you've already redone.
Right.
And then it's just fulfillment after that. So, you know, you'll get it shortly. You know, sometime probably around the summer, maybe.
Probably. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot. But yeah. So that's it.
We've talked quite a bit.
Yeah. I would say
wrapping up here.
That's it from us in King Panda Studio. We got Nathan Lawson, the creator of Nullified here,
and Ryan Gann, the
tech
marketer,
guru, I guess.
tech guy. Yep.
But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.